We're taking this blank canvas of a space and turning it into a perennial garden. So let's talk about the plan. So in this section over here is going to be a sitting area, and then we have all of this area around to fill with perennials. Now, obviously, we're not going to fill this all with perennials this year. That would be like a giant investment. So, over the next probably 3 years, we'll fill it up. But this year, I'll fill in whatever perennials I have, and then I'll add in my dahlia cuttings or just sort of anything extra annual wise, just to fill in those spaces until we can buy more perennials. So this is what we're working with. Not a lot, but it's a start. We also have these gorgeous old chairs, which I'll be repainting, and I think will look really cool, as well as a rug from back at the old place, and then some landscape fabric to keep the weeds out. So before I plant a thing, I'm using good quality landscape fabric and landscape staples like these, just to put out the seating area, because if I don't do that and start putting perennials here and there, I'll probably encroach upon the area that I'm meant to have for seating with my plants. So now that the tarp is in, I'm going to start digging holes for my main perennials. So in this case, I have 8 peony bushes, and I also have 3 grapes that are going to go over a future pergola. So I will start with those. And here's the mostly finished product. So it probably doesn't look super glamorous now, but you get the basic idea of how this perennial garden will function. So imagine, if you will, these grapevines on a pergola that goes over top of this sort of seating area. And then these roses might climb just sort of a little bit, but we just wanted it so that you could still see, like if you're sitting there on the deck, you could kind of see this area. Then over here, there's actually a lot of my extra dahlias interspersed amongst the perennials. It continues back here, and then we have a couple of our peonies, delphiniums, more of the dahlias. And then we actually have some pumpkins growing in here just to like fill up the space, until we can get more perennials. Then there's some sunflowers in this corner, irises. What else? We have daisies, columbine, bunch of little random things. So even though it doesn't look like much, imagine, if you will, another chair there that's like a double, and then a pergola around there, and that's where the grapes and the roses will climb up. And then once those perennials are really full and lush, this is going to look really beautiful. The bad news, it's going to be at least 3 years before this vision is like fully realized, because of course perennials barely do anything the first year. Then the second year, they get a little bit better. And then the third year is when they really take off. By year 5, this will be completely beautiful and lush. If you're wondering how to put together your own perennial garden, I talk all about it in my ebook, The Constant Color Garden. And so it's basically both a system and pre-made plans that explain how to put the perennial garden together so that there's always something in bloom. No more like blank canvas of green, or like those 2 glorious weeks when everything is blooming in your yard and then nothing ever for the rest of the season, because nobody wants that. So in the Constant Color Garden, I go over how you can take your space and make it so there's always something beautiful. It's good for every zone. It definitely has a zone 3 focus, because of course that's where I am. All the perennials listed in there are good for zone 3, but it tells you how to work it out even if you're in a warmer zone and you have more access to more perennials. Anyway, I'll leave a link down in the description for that. Thanks for joining me. I can't wait to do some perennial garden updates, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.